Dark Souls Remastered is right around the corner, and today I woke up to a cornucopia of news flooding my feed. There is a bit going on. A lot of channels were given early access to Dark Souls. Not me. What's up, Bandai Namco? Where's my early access? I'm just joking. Anyways, before we get too far along, I just want to mention my favorite Dark Souls Discord server. I'm going to leave a link to it in the comment section. It's called SoulsTube, and I'm very active over there. I understand there's going to be probably raffle prizes at some point. I know they're going to be hosting tournaments, fight clubs, all the fun things that have been in Dark Souls 3, you know, the Dark Souls 3 community. All these things will be had in the SoulsTube Discord, and if you're interested in that, you should go ahead and click on the link. Okay, so since I didn't get invited to this 60 FPS, 4K resolution, you know, extravaganza, Dark Souls extravaganza, since I wasn't invited to it, I'm allowed to go read all of the news and take a dump on the news, right? Let's find out what we don't like about what there is to say about the game. In fact, what stood out to me is that there were, you know, a number of popular channels, a number of popular news sources that came out and talked vaguely about the game, but there was one that posted an article that then quickly took down the article. It was Fandom. Fandom said some poo-poo things, and I'm sure Bandai Namco said, no, we don't want any poo-poo being slung at our game right now. And of course, what the internet did was, before Fandom could take the article down, people screenshotted it, right? And so we're going to jump right into the most well, in my opinion, the most interesting aspects of the news that came out today. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to be pulling quotes right from Fandom's now deleted article. Enjoy. Starting out, we have this one. These pauses were infrequent, but nevertheless, they exist. The version we played is not the release build, and the developers have probably about a month of optimization before it's done and dusted. So fingers crossed, these don't make it into the final product. Ultimately, they're far less of a pain than the frame drops experienced by visitors to Blighttown on PlayStation 3. Speaking of Blighttown, we took a trip down there, thank you Master Key, to make sure the PlayStation 4 Pro didn't catch fire, and can report that there were once again no frame dips while exploring the later parts of the level. Okay, so my impression of that is that the game still isn't perfectly polished, but they still have time to make it perfectly polished. Yeah, my opinion of video games that are about to launch at this point is that they really don't change until after they launch, you know, day one patch, that kind of stuff. They mentioned Blighttown doesn't have the same frame rate drop that it used to have, which was absolutely awful sometimes. It makes me wonder though if the Switch will have issues, especially when you've gone portable with it. You know, he's playing on the PlayStation. We don't know how its performance will differ on the Switch, if at all, but I imagine it won't be that bad. Next, they mentioned that the 4K resolution is only going to be available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Even though standard PS4 and Xbox One are capped at a 1080p resolution, it's promised that they'll still run at a steady 60 FPS. That's 30 FPS more than the game ever ran during its console debut, which in layman terms means that getting your skull crushed in repeatedly has never felt this smooth. Alright, so basic praise. This is probably what you would expect from anybody that's been given early access to a game. Like, there's an agreement, right? You get to play the game early, and then you get to make a bunch of money off of your post, but you have to say favorable things about the game. I mean, how many games do we have out nowadays that are 1080p and 60 FPS? Shouldn't that be a standard at this point? Is it really that amazing that Dark Souls Remastered is going to be 60 FPS, 1080p on Xbox One and PlayStation 4? I'm not that excited. It just sounds like it's going to be okay, like my mind's not going to explode or anything like that. It's not necessarily any kind of innovation. It sounds like it's just a remaster for the sake of remastering a fun game, you know what I mean? Okay, so kind of skimming through the article, they talk briefly about quality of life changes. For example, you're able to consume multiple items at once, which will save you a lot of time. They also talk a little bit about the jump button being bound to L3, also being able to do custom key binding. So all of that sounds good, but once again, this is more like the kind of stuff you would just expect from a game nowadays. Like, it's not going to blow my mind, like I said earlier. Okay, now we get to some more of the juicy details in the article. I'm going to go ahead and read another quote. It goes, "Expectation weighed heavy on Dark Souls Remastered. with some fans hoping for fixes to big problems with the original game. At this point, it's clear that FromSoft has not taken the opportunity to improve the experience of Lost Izalith, or making the Bed of Chaos an actual good and/or fun boss fight. Items and enemies seem to remain in their place, offering no new surprises for veterans. Anything that could be seen to break or change the original game's experience has been left out, including omnidirectional rolling. Now, for people who are probably fans of my channel, that's a big deal because that has a lot to do with dueling. So we're not getting omnidirectional rolls for dueling. It's going to be the four-way, front, back, left, right, and that's it. So that's really important. We're going to be sticking to 4 directional rolls. Okay, so based on that fandom article, I have to say I'm pretty disappointed, to be honest with you guys. I was really hoping for the omnidirectional roll. Maybe the idea is that they want a really authentic, that's what everybody's saying. They want an authentic Dark Souls feeling. That's a very positive way of putting it, but honestly, I just want to have a fun time playing Dark Souls. And I'm worried that going back in terms of game mechanics, innovation, going backwards is not going to be fun. That's what I'm suspecting. There's other questions to ask, like, are backstabs the same, right? So we don't know any of that yet. I guess we'll find out in the future when the game launches. The game launches soon in May, right? But I guess I'm growing a little more concerned about the game. I feel like if they wanted this game to do well, they should have done more than just giving it better graphics. You know what I'm saying? Like, 60 FPS is nice, but you could play Mario Land at 60 FPS and it's still Mario Land. Well, this is Dark Souls at 60 FPS. You'll probably play through the campaign a few times. It's gonna feel nice, right? But if you were already burnt out of Dark Souls, you're probably still going to feel that coming back to this game. You know what I mean? And I'm still going to get into the PvP. We'll have to see what the PvP ends up becoming, right? Will it become a big deal? Will it have a niche following? I feel like the 60 FPS and the dedicated servers are going to be nice. That's going to help. But ultimately, yeah, we're just going to have to see because you're playing on an old game. It sounds like what we really need at this point is to hear what FromSoft has planned for the future of their Soulsborne series. We need Bloodborne 2, Dark Souls 4, whatever it is, right? We need to know what they have coming up. Right? They did the little 5-second reveal trailer at the Game Awards. We need to know what the heck that is, right? And that way, while we're playing Dark Souls Remastered, it's kind of like this in-between thing, something you enjoy while you're waiting for the real meat, with a real innovation, and we'll just have to see. Okay, so let's wrap things up by getting back to some more of the details that were revealed today. I'm just going to get them out in a kind of a nice list for you. We'll just go down the list, all right? So, Xbox One X and PS4 Pro will have upscaled 4K resolution with 60 FPS, and the PC is going to be able to access native 4K. The regular PlayStation 4 and Xbox One will only get 1080p, and the resolution will be 60 FPS. On the Switch, it's going to have 1080p resolution with only 30 FPS, and that's when it's docked. If you're taking it into handheld mode, you're only going to get 720p resolution and 30 FPS, which I guess you get to enjoy using it handheld, but honestly, that's not that good, is it? 720p, 30 FPS? For the online multiplayer, you're now going to be able to have 6 people. You're going to need to use Dried Fingers. Dried Fingers has been moved from the painted world of Ariamis to the Undead Berg Merchant to be obtainable much earlier in the game. The Dried Finger location in the painted world has been replaced with a Twin Humanities item. Password matchmaking is now available, similar to Dark Souls 3. When a player is summoned in password matchmaking, the player level will be synced. It's now easier for friends to be matched with each other. When the guest player's character level and weapon is higher than that of the host player, the level will just be adjusted accordingly. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I find that interesting. Healing items will not be available during PvP, with the exception of Estus flasks. To prevent long and drawn-out battles, the number of Estus flasks is halved for phantoms, pretty much what they already do in Dark Souls 3. When a player defeats an invading phantom, their Estus flask is restored. Players can turn on and off global matchmaking. Players can now prevent matched red phantoms from seeing their white sign soapstone sign. Players can no longer summon ally phantoms consecutively when in combat with enemy phantoms. That was an improvement that they made to Dark Souls 3 as well. In online play, players who are outside of the host parameter range will not be matched with each other. The players can still be matched via password matchmaking. So a lot of these are just things that they had already implemented in Dark Souls 3. They're pretty much like a quality of life for the online gameplay. Alright, and then we also already knew about the arena. 3v3 and 6-player deathmatch have been added. Arena battles can also use password matchmaking. Respawn points will be random. Finally on this list, I'll just mention again that you're able to consume multiple items at once. The number of languages has been increased to the number found in Dark Souls 3. A bonfire has been added next to Varnos the blacksmith. Covenants can be switched at bonfires. Button configuration is available. Items will not automatically be registered into an item slot when picked up. When the up or down directional pad button is held down, the first item equipped will be selected. Again, that's another quality of life change that we had in Dark Souls 3. The online network has been changed from player to player to dedicated servers. Okay, I'd love to hear your impression of the news that came out today. My own impressions are kind of negative. I was really hoping to hear that they had taken the game, remastered it, but also added to it. You know what I mean? You know, I wanted it to be more than a game just changing into a fancier pair of clothing, right? You do have the dedicated servers, you do have the 60 FPS, you do have all of the quality of life changes that are coming from what they've learned in Dark Souls 3, but the actual combat is going to be the same, and that leaves me a little bit concerned that it's not going to be that fun. I don't know. See, I'd like to be able to host tournaments, I'd like to be able to participate in fight clubs, and really get deep into this game, you know, really get into it. And it really would be kind of disappointing to find out that you can't do that. Alright, the last thing I'm going to do is remind you that that Discord link is in the comment section. It's going to be in the pinned comment, so you can just scroll down there, click on that, and say hi to me. If you join the Discord, there's some other YouTubers in there as well. You can say hi to them as well. You'll probably recognize some of them. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Really? Oh my gosh, you guys! I just want to thank y'all so much!